You know that you're never going to be Hispanic, right? And I was like, yeah, I know. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to our channel. I happened to come across a website called Ain't I Latina and an article that was written by Jalissa J. Robinson called Habla Español 11 Things Black American Spanish Speakers Encounter. I was just relating to so many things at the same time that I was like, you know what, let me pause this. Let me turn on the camera. We can react to these together. If there is anybody else out there that is Black, that is bilingual, that speaks Spanish, let me know if you're experiencing these things as well. Let's get into it. Absolutely true. It will happen where my patients, when I'm interpreting for the provider and for them, they'll interrupt the session and go, Dominicana, ¿verdad? No, no soy dominicana. Puertorriqueña? No, tampoco. Cubana? No. Panameña? Tampoco. ¿De dónde eres? De aquí. ¿Y tus papás? De aquí. ¿Y tus abuelos? No soy latina. There's always some form of interrogation at one point or another. It's interesting because I've noticed that African Americans, if they don't know me and they hear me speak Spanish, they assume I'm Dominican. And white people, when they hear me speak Spanish and they don't know anything about me, they're just confused. On the flip side of this point, I've noticed something really interesting that happens when Latinos just kind of assume that I'm Latino. Occasionally, the patients will make comments obviously directed at me where they'll say, you know, us Latinos tend to X, Y, and Z, or us Latinos like to celebrate this way, and they'll look at me for like corroboration. And so that'll happen, but there's also this thing where people complain about Black people to you because they don't think that you're African American. They just think that you're Afro Latino. And for some reason, that sets you apart. When I was in the Dominican Republic, I was with this one guy that was a friend of mine. We were both the same complexion, and he was with a group of his friends. One of them was getting his shoes shined, which is very common. And the guy that was shining his shoes spoke Haitian Creole and spoke French, but didn't speak Spanish. Dominicans have this really complicated history with accepting the fact that they are Afro Latino. To them, Black is bad a lot of the time. So Black is bad. And since Haitians are Black, then Haitians are bad. And there's just this really negative and very complicated relationship between Haitians and Dominicans a lot of the time. So the guys that were getting their shoes shined started making fun of this man and saying these really, really disgusting, disrespectful things. And then my friend who was with me at the time, he goes, guys, stop it. She's Black. And all of these men were Black. They were all Black. They were all Afro Latino. But for some reason, they felt it was okay to talk about somebody who was a different kind of Black. Very weird. Very, very weird. I can't say that I relate to that. And maybe it's because my high school was really racially diverse, and the majority of the students in my Spanish class were Latinos, Spanish speakers that were just looking for an easy A. So I was in the minority, and I felt like I didn't know a whole lot, whereas they were coming from this place of superiority in my head. It was kind of intimidating. So I never felt like the person that people wanted to copy off of in Spanish class. English class was a whole other thing. And then going into college, we worked together. So there was never really any kind of cheating or copying when it came to college. And this is very true. I don't know why she limited it just to Latinas, which are women who are Hispanic, but this is something that happens to me with Spanish speakers in general. Everybody always speaks English around you until they realize that you speak Spanish. And at that point, it's kind of just like shock and awe. But it also depends on the environment that you're in. Growing up in New Jersey, there's a high percentage of Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. And so when I started learning Spanish and I would speak it, people just assumed that I was Dominican. If I walked into a Dominican hair salon, or if I walked into a Spanish speaking grocery store or something like that, people would greet me in Spanish because they just assumed that I was of a different nationality. I can absolutely relate to, say, for example, if I'm with Alex or if I'm with somebody who speaks Spanish and they introduce me, even if they introduce me in Spanish to that person will go, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And then when I speak in Spanish, they go, whoa, hablas español? It also happens with my patients sometimes in the hospital. Like if I walk into a room and I introduce myself as the interpreter in Spanish, people will say, sorry, no speak English. And I'm like, but I'm speaking to you in Spanish. And I think it's just they see my face and they go, nope, does not compute. And they just automatically launch into English. But this absolutely does happen. In the beginning, I used to be frustrated by it, but now I'm to the point where I feel like it's a secret weapon or it's something that, I can use to my advantage, which I think comes up in her article later on as well. Yeah. If my face didn't give it away, then absolutely, yeah. This is not something that my friends have done per se. When I started learning Spanish and I made it clear that I was going to major in Spanish when I went to college, my family, specifically my mom, pushed back a lot. I think for some reason she thought that I was trying to erase my identity as a Black person by learning another language. And she was really confused by the fact that Spanish was what I wanted to pursue. I remember at one point she even asked me, you know that you're never going to be Hispanic, right? And I was like, yeah, I know. And also, the Black men that I have gone on dates with have been very, very upset with the fact that I speak Spanish, and I've not really understood why. During one date, a guy told me, it's people like you that hold our race back because instead of helping your brothers and sisters, you're much more focused on these people that are here illegally in our country that shouldn't be here. You're taking jobs away. That whole argument really ticks me off. No one's taking anything from anybody. If I were any other race, especially white, if I were white and learning another language, would anybody have a problem with it? I highly doubt that they would. And if you are white and this is something that you've dealt with, please share that with us in the comments below because I just haven't seen that kind of a reaction to somebody that is not of color learning Spanish before. Absolutely. Yes, you do because you have this other skill set and you're like, okay, the doors are opening up. I can do all of these different things. And in a lot of jobs, if you're bilingual, they pay you more for doing the same thing just in a different language. So why would I not go after this position or these positions that are available to me because I'm bilingual? So I'm going to put a pin in it right here because that was a lot and I want to give everybody the opportunity to absorb all those points, chat about them below if you'd like, share any things that you think I've missed or things that you think need to be included in the next video, and we'll see if I've gotten those in there. If not, we'll see if we can make a part 3 and cover those as well. So for right now, that's all I have for you. Remember, as we always say here, that with God, all things are possible. And I'll see you next week for part 2.